Well, welcome back, everyone. We're back. This is I am Nylis, and I'm your host, Nylis. And I'd like to talk about a couple of topics in this episode, number 11. Going to talk about what I call the downfall of rideshare, and just talk about that a little bit. But mostly we're going to talk about in this episode about holiday movies and some of the movies that are out there, and the culture of going to movies, and a little bit all around of what people usually do, or what you might do in the holiday season for going to movies, and how that is playing out right now. But I'm going to go ahead and dig into this first topic. I'm not going to talk super long on this, but I have found that the rideshare, I retired from rideshare, by the way. I know I talked early on about it a little bit, and driving for Lyft and Uber, but back on the 8th of November, I retired from rideshare. Decided it wasn't worth it anymore as a driver. I still believe, getting around with rideshare is a good thing when you're drinking and you want to have a few drinks, and you don't want to drive, or you want to go to that big concert but don't want to have the parking hassle. I still believe in it. But I do see a lot of indicators that rideshare is having a lot of issues, especially the two big ones, Lyft and Uber. I'm hearing from a lot of the drivers about how passengers are getting charged surge prices like at a big concert, and they're paying $100 or $150 to get home, some where they probably would have paid $25, and the drivers aren't getting hardly any of that surge price money anymore. They used to get 75% or so, somewhere in there, but they're not getting it anymore. And the drivers are getting offered a bonus to pick up this person, $20, $30, maybe even $40 bonus if they're lucky. Normally it's more in the 20s or less. And then when they drop off that person, the rideshare, especially Lyft, is now no longer gives them the information after they drop somebody off. They can't see how much the rider paid, so they can't complain to Lyft. Pretty darn sneaky of them. I think this is pretty terrible. We used to be able to see after you dropped them off, you see, the rider paid $150, I got paid, $100 or $90, and you're like, okay, well, that was a good trip, and it kind of sucks for the passenger, but it was a surge. It was high of they want high availability. They want us to be out there and wanted us to pick them up, and they got a safe ride home, so it was considered worth it. But now when the driver drops them off, he can't see what's going on. He can't see how much the rider paid or how the price breakdown. The price breakdowns don't get done until Thursday after the week closes out. So Lyft, I think, goes from 5 a.m. Monday morning to 5 a.m. Monday morning. So on Thursday, sometime Thursday, you get a price breakdown where you can go back into those old rides and find that ride that you were like, wow, I only made $35 on this ride. And then you see, the rider paid $150. Well, how in the world did that happen? But, a lot of the drivers aren't going back and looking at those things. I mean, it takes a lot of work, a lot of energy to sit there, and is it even worth it to go back and figure this out that you got screwed? And you probably don't even want to know. I know if I was still driving, I probably wouldn't want to know either. But that's kind of one of the reasons that I stopped driving, other than the fact that I felt that it wasn't worth it anymore. There was just too much going on, plus family life, and I was just getting head over heels into it. I was driving quite a bit, and I even took 7 days off of work, as I talked probably about in episode 7 or 8, somewhere in there. We talked about going to the College World Series. I drove for 7 days straight down there, away from my family, took time off of work, and everything else. It's just not worth it anymore. So that's kind of why I bowed out, and I've been talking to a lot of drivers that are finding it harder and harder to be worth it. And plus, our market is saturated here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and there's a lot of drivers, and there's always new drivers. So the moral of the story is somebody's going to go out and drive, and whether it's you or somebody else, it's up to you if you want to earn some money, but the amount of money that was being paid earlier is no longer. It's just not as much. They can say, it's Lyft and Uber say that they're paying the driver, what they should be and what they've said, but I'm not sure that's always true. So anyway, I think I'm going to switch over to a brighter topic, the holiday movies. But I do need to take a break and let our sponsors speak up a little bit, so we'll be right back shortly. Buzz driving is drunk driving, and if you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. I've seen this many times driving Lyft and Uber, and you need to be careful and look out for these warning signs. Over texting, talking too much, taking too many selfies, oversharing, chugging water to sober up, turning the music down to focus, chewing gum, popping mints, eating snacks to soak up the alcohol, drinking coffee to sober up, splashing water on your face, doing jumping jacks. When you spot your buzzed warning sign, call a cab or a rideshare, a car, or a friend when it's time to go home. Just don't drive home. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council. Just remember that you can reach us always at info@IamNylis.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/IamNylis. or on Twitter @IamNylis. Well, we're back, and it's time to talk about some holiday movies. So I'm wondering how many people out there are going to movies for the holidays and what your kind of pick is. There's quite a different range of movies that I'm seeing out there that are just now being released. Of course, you have the big one, Star Wars. There's another big, what looks like it could be a big one, is 1917. I think that's about World War I and some action there. Richard Jewell from director Clint Eastwood. That should be another one that might get quite a bit of people going to it. But some of these others, I have almost never heard of. Actually, the only reason I heard of some of them is I just went to Rise of Skywalker here last night on the 20th, and it was pretty good. I'm not planning on giving you any spoilers, but I was fairly impressed with the ability of J.J. Abrams to basically tie up loose ends across several storylines and parts. It seemed to bring it to a close in a very good way. So I think most fans are going to be happy with it. I've been there since the beginning. I went to opening day of Star Wars, the very first one, and I remember that day very well. And yeah, so the theater, going into the theater there was a couple of movies. I think Jumanji might have been on there, that new one. That's the Jumanji: The Next Level. And there was maybe one or two other ones I saw, but out of like 15 or so theaters in there, it was just Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. All of them were Star Wars. They were starting in different variations of time, and it was just it was amazing how many of those theaters were Star Wars. So some of these movies, though, I mean, I just haven't heard of them. Of course, I heard of Richard Jewell. That's about the Atlanta Olympics bombing suspect that they ruined his life, and turns out he was actually more of a hero than the guy that actually did it. But anyway, that looks like that might be a good one. Might need to go see this year. But there's some others like Bombshell, supposedly started on Friday the 13th, and I haven't heard of that one at all. Then we have things like Little Women, Aeronauts. Aeronauts started back on December 6th. Still haven't heard about that one, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe one of those you watch on Netflix, I guess. Seabird, that's an Amazon original, but I guess it's out in movie theaters. I haven't heard much of that either. Just Mercy, that's coming out here on Christmas Day, but haven't heard much of that. And Spies in Disguise or something like that, I think that one animated film was called. And it looks like a cute one to watch. It should be interesting. I guess Will Smith is in it in voiceover, and Tom Holland. Those kind of films are always fun to go to, and they are a good Christmas film, that type of films to go to. And of course, we got the Frozen opened up a lot earlier, but I don't know if that was considered a Christmas one. I do believe Frozen opened. I haven't really seen if it's been up and running yet, but there's one called Cats, and looks like a remake of Black Christmas, and Dark Waters, and of course I mentioned 1917. Did see the preview for that in the theater. That looked like it was going to be pretty interesting. That's one that if you like war films, you'd have to like war films. Otherwise, you may not like such a thing. But anyway, some of the other films, they showed a bunch of different films, trailers, but those are all coming out later. They're not coming out here over Christmas or Thanksgiving time frame. But the Frozen 2, I guess that was a Thanksgiving movie, not necessarily, but it's still out there in theaters. So I'm wondering from everybody, I'm gonna pitch it here, but I know my ads always talk about I Am Nylis, the Facebook page and Twitter account. I really would like to hear back from some of you to know what kind of films, maybe get something going on the page and find out, what kind of films do you go to? I mean, do you actually go to films over the Christmas holidays, or do you just take some of that time off and enjoy the time to do some things around the house and be with family, or go to somewhere to family and not really get a chance to go to movies? Or I know that normally, we go to a movie or two over the holidays usually. Since I already hit Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, I got to see it and not have too much interruptions per se. It's not like watching it on Netflix or Hulu or someplace like that, or Disney Plus, and where you can stop it and go run to the bathroom. Those movies are the ones where you go and make sure you go 2 or 3 times before the movie, and so you can sit there the whole time. You don't have to get up and go, because I don't think anybody likes to miss out on the movie because you had to go to the bathroom. But especially me, I'll almost go in my pants before I'll go to the bathroom. I'll be in so much pain. Sometimes I've had to do it though, but I try not to. And so I guess I was just wondering about, are you going to go out there to movies? And I was talking about the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, because where we're going for Christmas, we're going down to San Antonio, Texas, to our daughter and son-in-law and see the grandkids. And my daughter said that, your grandson really wants to see that movie. He's really itching to see it, and now you went to it. And I said, no, I went to it and I got to see it. So now I guess I can take him to it, and if he has lots of questions and talks, and I can concentrate on him versus the movie, because if I go to see a movie for the very first time, as my family will attest to, I'm sure, is that I get focused, and I really want to hear every little detail, what's happening, especially if it's a theme I'm interested in. And that brings up another point. Is anybody out there like that too? Because I really zone in on some things when I'm watching, and I get focused on it. It doesn't matter. It could be a TV show. If it's an episode that I really like and I focus on it, I am focused. And then when I get interrupted, people want to ask me questions and come in the living room, and it's just like, oh, please. I have to stop everything. I have to sit there. I can't focus on two things at once like that when I'm really interested. And some of these movies, like Star Wars, that's an intense one that I really would have to focus on that first time. So I got that out of the way. So my grandson, I'm going to probably squeeze out some time maybe and take him, or my granddaughter if she wants to go, and go to the film. That would be great. I don't know if the other film that might be interesting is Spies in Disguise, but I'm not sure how they would feel about that one. Well, one of those other movies that I'm possibly going to go watch, I may go watch it in the theater. I may wait till it comes out other ways. But that's Jumanji. I always liked The Rock and Kevin Hart. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they mixed up that one, because from what I understand, the characters that played them before, or that they were supposed to be, they get kind of mixed up and they don't have the same. A couple of them are the same, but like The Rock is not who it was before. It's another person, and so is Kevin Hart, and so they mix it up quite a bit, it looks like. So that could be interesting. And we'll have to see if we end up going to Frozen. I usually plan on watching that I'll watch it on Disney Plus or something, but we'll have to see what happens there. Now, some of the other movies that came out in Thanksgiving time frame, another holiday time frame, I guess, like The Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, about Mr. Rogers. I didn't get a chance to see that one yet. That one might be one that I end up having to wait, but I do kind of want to see it, because I grew up with Mr. Rogers. That was kind of a neat show that always watched, and just the story about him is just intriguing and interesting, I think. But some of these other shows, well, The Spy in Disguise, that was one where we got a chance to see the preview, and it just looks like they're making fun of all the James Bond stuff and everything that goes around. But it looks like it's going to be a real fun movie to go see. And they do have a lot of people in this thing. I think the main character, Lance Sterling, is played by Will Smith or voiced over by him, and Tom Holland is a voiceover in there, and Rashida Jones, and DJ Khaled is in there somewhere too, I guess, and Masioka, right? Masioka, I can't ever pronounce his name. He's from Heroes, the series there for a while. He's probably most famous for that. He'll be in there. That ought to be interesting too. But so again, the question goes out if anybody is going to go to movies, and what kind of movies you're going to go to. Are you going to be those animated type, or are you going to go to the serious ones like Richard Jewell, where it's a documentary, or talking about something that happened in history or 1917, or if you're going to go to something that's more comedic and or something that's more sci-fi. I haven't heard of the Uncut Gems that start on Friday the 13th, but that was one from Adam Sandler, I guess. And I don't know, that's a pretty long film for him. I don't remember him going 2 hours and 15 minutes. Most of his films are under 2. So that's pretty interesting that film's that long. But it's an Adam Sandler film, and I don't know if he's back on his way up the chain again, or if he's fallen down. But it'd be interesting to see how that comes out and happens. But yeah, so I guess to wrap up this little segment, talking about Christmas movies and all these Christmas movies coming out and what you might go to and what you might not. It's interesting to know what people are doing. So I'm gonna cut it short here for another quick message, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Every day, we have the ability and opportunity to create a more accepting world by actively coming together and living inclusively. Even small acts of inclusion can have a big impact and make others feel loved and accepted. Because most people don't see themselves as part of the problem, they don't recognize that they can be part of the solution. Before anything else, we're all human. Start a conversation and create a deeper connections. Consider whose voices are and are not represented. Use inclusive, appropriate, and respectful language. As my grandmother used to say, respect those and they'll respect you. Learn how you can come together at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Have you ever wanted to express your beliefs by wearing a baseball cap? Many of us wear caps. Many of us fly flags in front of our house. Well, our friends at us-specialties.com have a great selection of what you want to have. Anything from military to first responder to faith or religious or even Second Amendment caps or flags you might want. You need to go out and check out us-specialties.com and put in discount code I am Nylis for a huge discount of 40% off everything store-wide. That's an amazing discount from an amazing company. Go out there and check them out at us-specialties.com. And don't forget the discount code I am Nylis for 40% off. You will be helping veterans. They thank you. So, let's go ahead and wrap this episode 11 up, and this will be our last episode before the first of the year, and we should be out with the first year episode sometime in the first week of January, and we'll be back with some more interesting topics, I hope, and we'll also have a road trip that maybe some things will happen there that we can talk about. We'll have to see. And we talked about what I call the downfall of rideshare and how they're kind of taking a larger portion of the profits there to support their shareholders. At least that's the way the drivers are seeing it, and that's from their point of view. But since I'm retired, I'm not really big into it anymore, other than I do still have a lot of contact with them. We talked about the Christmas movies and some of the great ones that look like they're going to be pretty good, and definitely Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I have seen that one, and that one is definitely worth seeing in the theater. I don't always go to movies in the theater, but that one was definitely worth it. As far as the others, I probably will see Skywalker again with my grandson, as I mentioned before, and we'll probably go to one or the other movies to see those with the grandkids, and then we're pretty much done for the season. As far as movies go, we'll probably wait and see the rest of them when they come out on Vudu or Disney Plus or one of those others. We'll have to see. But I appreciate, as always, I appreciate everybody listening to I Am Nylis, and we'll talk at you after the new year. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope everybody has a great holiday. Just remember that you can reach us always at info@iamnylis.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/iamnylis, or on Twitter @iamnylis.